and she still had some stuff going on her pelvis and other things that she wasn't able to keep, from going awry because she didn't know any better. But just by keeping that curve in the neck, it showed how powerful that was in preventing these spinal issues from ever happening in the first place. Really cool stuff. What is scoliosis? This is a very severe form of subluxation where when we're looking at the spine from straight on, from front to back or back to front, we get the curvature here. And it's an S-shaped curvature in the spine. That's what scoliosis is. And what they found is that scoliosis on average takes between 14 to 20 years off of someone's life because of the impact that it has on the joints and the impact that it has on the nervous system. And so if you, marginally choke off the nerve. Remember we talked about just the weight of a coin started to make a difference in the nerve impulse? When you misalign with the spine, it literally starts suffocating the organs and keeping them from functioning and healing the way that they should. Literally hacking 20 years off someone's life, just like that. And by the way, these are correctable now, non-surgical. We actually have a specialist that will send people into for scoliosis, and they can actually get this corrected. What they found is that typically it stems from birth trauma, right? During the birth process, it can be a very traumatic experience for the newborn baby. Even if it's a natural, healthy delivery, the twisting and the pulling that occurs during that process, if the upper bone in the spine, the atlas, the very top bone, if that bone gets twisted incorrectly, what happens is it puts pressure on those motor nerves, the nerves that control the muscles in the body. And so it's overstimulating one side of the motor nerves and understimulating the other side of the motor nerve. And so what happens then is the body ends up doing this corkscrew motion in the spine because of that unbalancing musculature. Does that make sense? So it literally corkscrews the pelvis and then corkscrews from the top, and it literally just starts twisting up on itself, and that's where you get that scoliosis curvature from. So they find if they can catch it early enough before the bones start to grow the spurs, and before it becomes arthritic and starts to degenerate. So that's basically like a natural fusion that's occurring. That's why I say it's like pouring concrete in the joint. So when they find if they can catch it early enough and uncorkscrew the spine and then stabilize it by rehabbing the weak muscles and relaxing the rigid muscles, you can actually get some imbalance to restoring those imbalances and actually start to get this stuff corrected. It's actually really, really cool stuff.
Because people don't believe it or understand it doesn't make
it any less true. So the best analysis, that's the reason why we pull it on structurally. And ask the same question, how many you take care of your spine on a regular basis? What do you think the response would look like for that question? It's healthy or sick. That's a sick nerve system. Now, the interesting thing about this is this person comes into the office and they're completely asymptomatic, meaning they don't have any symptoms at all. But you all just told me they were sick. So how do we define that then? Is it based on how they feel, how they look, what their genetics are, or is it based on how their body is functioning and healing from the inside out? So you're already starting to understand the difference in the process and the analysis of what we're implying here is literally the most cutting-edge healthcare delivery system that exists on the planet right now. Because if you open up this person's spinal cord and the power in the brain can start to flow back through again, and now we equip that healing power with the correct nutrients, and we exercise this person's body and keep them clear of toxins, the organ systems are going to function and heal exactly the way they're designed to. Make sense? 6-year-old twin brothers. This is a perfect case of that. They had the exact same medical care. They were both vaccinated. They had both been on antibiotics multiple times. They both, had exposure to whatever other medication mom had. And it acts as a pump, brain, and circulates it all the way. That's what the research was. Journal of Clinical Biomechanics from 1987. Here's another reason. You ever heard of a spine transplant before? Neither have I. Take care of the one that you have.
Has anyone ever seen the t-shirt?
Rates of spinal fusion have increased by more than 250% in the last 15 years, but the benefits are not enough to offset the cost. The cost of surgery anywhere between 70 to over 100 grand. It's actually even more now. This was done back in 2008. Now it's up in $150,000 to $200,000 range. Due to the extremely high failure rate with back surgery, a new classification was created called failed back back surgery syndrome. Literally, if you have a family, a coworker, or a loved one that says that they're considering surgery, grab them by the collar and drag them to the chiropractor. Here's the reason why. Likelihood for surgery of workers with back injuries, if the first point of contact was for a surgeon, 42% of those people ended up in surgery. If their first point of contact was with a chiropractor, less than 2% ended up in a surgery. Why do you believe that is? Right? Chiropractic works. You just got to put it to work for you. Right? You fix the spine. This is why we have our mixed fix set. Right? You come in, you warm up, you do your wobble, you do your traction. The fix is the adjustment. You lay on the adjusting table. We're literally moving bones in the spine. We're removing that interference. We're getting things motioning mechanically the way that they were designed and intended to. Get that sacral pump working again. Get the nutrition flowing through your nervous system. And then we set it. That's the rehab. So then you go back and you put the head weights on with the vibration plate. And then we've also assigned rehab specifically for you at home so that you can follow up with your rehab in between visits, so that we're actually making structural changes and building one adjustment on top of the next, so we can take you from here to here, right? $1.4 million. Before and after, seeing instruments out there, we prefer the ArthroStim because it delivers the most specific and precise force into the spine as far as the instruments are concerned. Many of you may have seen this before. It's called an activator. This is a spring-loaded machine. It literally feels like somebody is like pumping a tap on the side of your spine. Nothing against it. It works. It's not going to move bones, though. It does take pressure off the nerve system. It does stimulate joint mobility. But it's not going to take you from here to here. Does that make sense? Okay, same thing with the impulse over here. Very specific. It's got electric. But honestly, I prefer the ArthroStim over the impulse because as many people as we see in our offices are going through an impulse about once a month. There's not as mechanically built as it sounds as the ArthroStim.
It's sick insurance because it only pays for stuff.
You have your at-home rehab equipment, so Dr. Chad's going to show you a little bit of this as well. But the reason we assign these things is there's very specific subluxations for your individual case. Each one of the components that we assign within that rehabilitation is addressing a specific deficiency or improper structural alignment in your spine. So it's important to do each and every single one of those exercises that we assign. I can promise you that myself and my other doctors, we don't assign an exercise for you just for fun. Just be like, oh, well, that would be funny to envision them having to do that at home, right? So we don't do that to you, I promise. They're all designed for a very specific purpose of correction for your spine. So make sure that you are in fact doing your home rehab. You got your wedges. The wedges are the most prominent thing for taking the rotation out of the pelvis. So if you looked at your x-rays and your pelvic bones are unlevel, that's these two bones right here, right? If that's unlevel, if you have rotation in the pelvis, the way that we de-rotate that is we have you sleep on the mold. So the adjustments help to reset it, but the molds help to stretch the ligaments down there in the base of the spine so that we can keep getting structural change over time. Okay, so you got to do the mold. The wobble chair, that's the most important thing for rehydrating the discs. Guess what else it does? When you're wobbling like this, it's also working that pump, right? So it works the sacral pump. It actually pumps that CSF up into the brain, helps to nourish the brain, helps to nourish all the discs. So that's a great nourishment tool. The traction unit is to help us to be able to restore the curvature back in here to the neck. It addresses the ligament dysfunction there. So it's extremely important to make sure you're doing your traction. And your rolls, the rolls you sleep on, also to help to restore the curvature here. So again, we want the spine to get all the strength and stability that's capable of. So the curvature is 24 times stronger. So you sleep on those molds for at least a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes a night. It helps us to remold the spine into that curvature, which gives it strength and stability. And then the head weight, when you put the head weight here on the front, as soon as you put weight there, what does your body want to do? It wants to pull it up. So that helps to take the forward head posture out. It also develops these intrinsic spinal muscles, the core muscles of the neck, to help lock the curvature in and keep it strong and stable. Okay? So just a quick review there of what all those are doing. I'm going to bring Dr. Chad up. He's going to go through some ergonomic stuff for you guys. Not only do we want to help you be able to understand why you're doing it, but also understand some of the things that you may be doing at home or work that are keeping you from getting the best results with caring for your spine. So Dr. Chad is going to show you some of the traumas, some of the things to avoid, and we'll take it away from there.
$600,000. And that study was actually done back in 2010. What do you think has happened to those numbers? Are they better or worse? Yeah, it's actually more. So you need upwards of $500,000 to $1 million cash out of pocket upon retirement if you're going to continue to live in a sick care system. Those are the average costs. So some pay less, but some pay more.
Can anybody relate to
Those
this?
are the average cost.
Right.
Yet this is
Sometimes you just want to bang your head on the computer, stress everything. This is kind of putting both the traumas into one. You got the abrupt traumas, you got the repetitive traumas. So everybody typically is sitting at desk now for a job. So now we have
we live in the greatest nation in the world, right? And I'm not saying that it's not.
Our desks just degenerating the whole time. And of course,
Number one
the
for
abrupt ones
degenerative
are
illness.
accidents.
Take
You've
50% of prescription
a
drugs in
trip
the
or a
world.
fall or
Yet
a
we
car
make up
accident or
approximately
sports injury or
5%
something like
of
that.
the world's population.
So this is just kind of part of
the
life,
population,
right? So we want to make sure that we can do certain things
of the
to
medication.
not let this
Does anyone
happen.
see anything wrong with that picture?
As much as possible.
Okay.
So.
U.S. is ranked 37.
So the first one, of course, an abrupt trauma would be birth. You probably wouldn't think that first.
So let's talk through a different
when it comes to
model,
birth,
right? And this is really what you're here
violent,
for tonight, the master
process
control.
now.
What if we actually define
in a
our
hospital,
health
it's really
care
a procedure,
system
right? It's
around
no longer,
the system
a
of
labor
our
or
body
delivery
that
or a baby
controls
it's literally
health?
a procedure, medical
Right? Who knows where
procedure.
health actually comes
right
from?
now, even babies,
The world's greatest doctor, right? If you've heard that radio show that we do, the world's greatest doctor is where? Inside each and every single one of us. The world's greatest. No, I wasn't pointing at me, right? But I am at the same time, but I'm not, right? Because I have the world's greatest doctor inside of me as well, but so do each one of you.
Now we're getting
the world's
pulled out of the
greatest
birth
doctor
canal,
lives inside each and every
C-section.
single one of us.
All these
and
things
that
are
is the
very
master
violent
control.
on these poor
The
little
body
babies'
has the power to
spines.
heal itself.
Leave
It
it up
doesn't
too
need
long.
help. It just
But
needs no interference.
that's
The
this is
power
what
that made the
happens
body
afterwards.
heals the
You do
body.
that torus
These are
house,
very
the head to
common
be twisted,
statements
the
that
bones
we
to be
teach in
twisted.
our office,
And of course,
just to
these
help
babies
to
typically have
understand
ear
and pass on the
infections.
principle to
They
you
have
guys.
they're
So,
very colicky.
what is this healthcare model? What kind of results do we
on
look
one
like?
side. They get more
60%
infections.
less hospital
just things that
admissions.
we
How
want
many
to
would
avoid.
like to be less in the hospital over their lifetime?
So after seeing
right?
those
Sounds good to
pictures,
me.
how many
59% less
think
days
should
in the
get checked right at
hospital,
birth?
62%
Everybody,
less
right?
outpatient surgeries.
Do
Here's
you
the biggie.
think chiropractors should be in hospitals?
85% less
Absolutely.
pharmaceutical
So
costs.
every time
How does that
I
sound,
have to
right?
go and
Yeah, I'd
adjust
like to spend
a patient
15%
pregnant
of
or
everyone
whoever
else
or
on
something like
any
that, I have to
pharmaceuticals that I would
sneak
need
in
for the rest of my
pretty
life,
much.
right?
Like,
And I'll tell you,
chiropractor
ever
do
since
it.
I started living this
Like
model,
baby
my family
voodoo,
started living
like
this
don't let
model,
them touch the
we have
baby,
not
like they're
taken
doing
a
some weird
single
things.
medication.
So
Not a single
I mean,
one.
the
I've been
births
living
that
this
I've been
model
at,
for 10
of course,
years now.
my patients
I know
call
Dr.
me
Chad and his
when they're
family
in
can say
labor.
the exact
Either
same
the dad
thing,
calls me.
right?
I typically
So
go to the
how awesome
hospital
is
or
that
birth
to
center
not
or the
need
house, wherever they are, so we
medication
can adjust the
anymore?
baby.
Not because there weren't times when I would be like, yeah, I'll take the quick
labor
fix,
goes a lot
right?
easier.
But because
So of
we
course
were
we want to avoid
disciplined
this as
enough
much as possible.
and had enough
The scary thing is
perseverance to live through the principles that we teach. It's not something that I just teach you guys. We walk this stuff. We live it
so
because we know that it works. If I'm going to tell you to have your child adjusted, then I sure better be having my child adjusted, right?
Now,
if I'm going to tell you to get your grandkids checked, then I sure better be checking, my child.
But the studies that we've
if I believe
reviewed,
in it, it's true.
which
Then
goes
it's
back
true.
to
Then it's
mentioning
true
one
across the
earlier,
board, right?
it shows that there's actually a huge
7-year study showed
misalignment
that
between the
patients whose
skull
primary physician
and
was
the
a
top bone.
chiropractor
Okay?
experienced the above results. And so I actually have
there's a baby
patients in
who's
my
stuck
office,
with
their whole
his neck
family
bone.
comes under
thing you
care.
gotta do is
They
get
literally
it
do not have a
How much is that
pediatrician.
worth?
Guess who their pediatrician is?
Thousands.
It's the
$100,000,
chiropractor. Because they
more
don't
than that,
believe in
1.4
going in and
million,
getting the
right?
well baby check.
So that's
You know what
why
they
we
do at a well
always,
baby check?
always
They
check
vaccinate.
babies, no matter
That's what
what.
they do. That's what
And
they do at a
if
well
the
baby
baby's
check.
been
Right? So whether you
born,
believe in vaccinations or
2 months
not,
old, 4 months old,
regardless,
whatever
that's
it
the
takes,
purpose
you
of
gotta
that
get
visit.
adjusted. If it's a
Okay?
friend, if
And
it's
so
a
the
neighbor,
whole
if
point
it's
is
a
that,
grandson or granddaughter, whatever,
if you want
we
these
check
types of
them.
results,
Okay?
then you
Let us
have to
check them.
start thinking
That's why
in
it's that
different
important for kids to
terminology
get adjusted.
than what exists mainstream.
So,
If you
can
continue to
everybody
do the
say,
same things over and over again and expect a different result,
So this
that's
is
the
just that
definition
the
of
perfect little
insanity.
baby,
Nothing
getting
changes
adjusted,
if nothing changes. You
gentle,
have to do
effective
something
adjustments for the whole
different
family,
to
right?
get
It's
this
not
type of
just
result.
for someone who
that's
has
where
an
Max
ankle
Health
pain or a
the
back
5
pain or
essentials
something like
come in.
that. Chiropractic
So
goes all
what
of that
is
to
health, right? Who remembers
the
Patrick
baby.
Swayze, right?
This check child here has probably more innate wisdom than all of us do. Right? We're all born with the exact same genes, exact same power, and unfortunately, from our bad eating habits,
right?
from ergonomics,
Who remembers what happened to these guys?
Posture, all the
They look really healthy, right? Is that not like the picture of health for a guy and a gal right there? How many would love to look like that, right?
This thing has a
potential what happened to them though, right?
Great health,
they passed away
right?
way
so
early.
We don't want a single nanosecond of
no one had ever really
information not get into the rest of the body.
So
with our two kids,
they were not living a five essentials lifestyle. They were not paying attention to their spine and human frame. I guarantee they were probably exercising. They probably ate relatively well, but no one had probably told them anything about toxicity. You know, if you live a Hollywood lifestyle, you're exposed to probably a lot more temptations
when it comes
toxicity
to being pregnant,
right? So those are the results.
It definitely has reduced labor times with
chiropractic.
And I'll say pain first child is typically about 24% shorter labor times. If you're having a second or third, it reduces it by 39%.
If you look overall, this is a cross section of the spinal
showed that you'd be able to carry and deliver more comfortably.
Look at it. What does that look like? You know, when you flip it up on its side, what are the different parts of the spinal cord? How does it break down?
One of my patients do like right
See this
now.
little red spot down here?
I probably won't
That's
see
the
like
sensory part of the nervous system.
Thursday,
you know what these two huge areas are up here? This is the side that runs all the organs, and this is the side that runs all the muscles.
Husband's like, wow, that Dr. Chad must be
so this is the only part that allows you to feel something. So is it possible for you to have damage to your nervous system and not feel it at all until when? Until it's really bad, until it's really damaged. So what's one of the worst ways that we could measure to define our health level? Symptoms and pain. You got it. Because the time you feel something or understand that something's actually going on, or even, for that matter, even see it on a blood test, that already tells me that the problem's been there for way too long. It's already accumulated enough damage within that particular part of the organ system or the muscle system to then finally produce a functional result on a test. Does that make sense? Or I should say a dysfunctional result on a test. And so, really, the way that we monitor this then is by understanding the intelligent design of the body and just trying to adhere as close to that innate intelligence as possible. Because we know that God's already put the most amazing healing power inside each and every single one of our bodies. If we just stay in tune with that, again, the principle of the body doesn't need any help healing, it just needs no interference. And so we remove the interference off the nervous system, and that allows that amazing power to flow through
so this is probably you every day, right?
The interference nutritionally, we remove the interference of toxins, we get you exercising so it removes any interference of a sluggish lifestyle, what that causes, right? You hear that they're calling sitting the new smoking. Has anyone seen that now? Yeah, literally sitting is the new smoking as far as health detriments. Does that look healthy? Because you sit and they found that the blood starts to cool up and it's not circulating, you're not getting oxygen perfusion, you're not getting nutrient to the tissue anymore the way that it should be, and so the tissues are literally dying while you're sitting there. And then you get up and you get moving again and it's like a breath of fresh air back to the tissues again, and it feeds life into them and tries to bring them back to life. But the longer that you sit every day, the more that you're going through this death sentence to the tissue. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's literally sitting is the new smoking. That's what they've determined now as far as health.
So the less you can do these things,
here's all the things that works, manual of medical diagnosis that can happen to our bodies without any symptoms whatsoever.
I know a lot of people
might it's not just like a handful of things, there's dozens of things on here on the list that happen to us before symptoms would ever even exist, before any medical test would tell us there was even a problem.
You might be riding a bike,
so it just goes further to prove that
a lot of people will
really
lift with their back.
For us to define our health.
So
the
instead of
true
lifting with your
definition of health
legs,
is really about
you're
how your body is
lift with your back where you're pulling that curve out.
If we can keep the body functioning and healing correctly, again, how do we keep it functioning and healing at its best? We remove the interference. The body already knows how to function and heal, does it not? In other words, when those two cells came together in front of your mother's womb, those two cells divided to 4 and 8 and so on and so forth, and eventually formed an entire human being. Was there a doctor in there stitching on an arm, stitching on a leg, making sure that the eyes ended up in the right place? Or did the power that made the body heal the body?
Right on your side.
And so if the power that made the body heal the body,
the ledge,
can it
not a good thing.
heal the body,
laying on your back
right,
with your head
from a sickness or a disease when there's interference?
So
we remove the interference, the body gets
trauma.
back to healing.
You can just
It already is built innately to heal. It knows how to heal. The systems are already there.
Nudge you and say, don't do these things, you can avoid
And all we have
these
to do is keep them
subluxations.
free and clear of interference, and it will continue to
So,
heal at a high level.
What's the proper way of
Now,
sitting,
research is in.
driving, or even laying and lifting? So
We all have to go at some
this
point,
is just a
right?
couple people sitting
So
on
it really
computer,
comes down
so
to caring
this
well
guy's
enough
got
for
this
our
really
bodies
tiny
to have
little
the
chair,
quality of life
right?
to
Roll
continue to live
forward,
a purpose-filled life,
looking at
what
the
God's
computer.
called and designed
The goal would
and
be
intended
to
for us to
have
do at
a
the
much
highest
bigger
level
chair,
possible,
right?
right?
Some good support.
And I believe that you have to
sitting
have your
upright.
health to
You
be
got
able
more
to
of
live
these
out the fullest
90-degree
purpose that
angles.
God's called to us. Would you agree to
Right?
that?
The head's
Right?
the chin is
I would
parallel
agree
with the
with that.
ground. I would even
So it
raise
really
the
comes
monitor
down
up
to
a
the
little
nerve
bit.
supplies, what
Put your
controls
monitor up to
all
about
function
here.
and healing in your body.
So you're
So this is
looking
why we
straight.
look at the spine, because the spine is so
I know in
intimately connected.
chiropractic
So those
school,
two cells come together inside of your mother's womb, divide to
school have some great
76
chairs.
trillion
But
cells.
for 3 years I sat
Anybody
in a
else in
chair
here own a
that
business?
bent like right,
Right? You own a
here.
business?
So just right in the mid
How
back.
many of you have
right over.
at least a dozen
I can't
employees
get
that
every
you have
single
to
one of our
manage?
backs was awful.
Okay,
So
2
sitting in that chair
dozen.
for 3 years is
How
bad.
about 76 trillion?
So
Okay?
again,
The
sitting at
brain
the
is
computer,
literally
public
running
enemy
and
number one in
coordinating
the
and
workplace.
organizing
So this is where you're
every
getting that
single cell inside of your body to make sure that it's doing the right thing
like that,
at the right
and
time.
less stress.
Now, how well do you think your employees would
Got our-
work
got our
if you
cell
could not
phones now,
communicate
right?
with them
So
properly?
we're trying to
Would
hide
things get
what we
done
have
efficiently?
on the phone, so we're
Would they be
we're
done
looking right down
productively?
like this.
Would they be done
Right?
effectively?
Hold it up.
Right? So when we
So
interfere with
type
the
or read it
communication
or
of the
whatever you gotta
brain
do.
to try and get to the
I think
cell,
there's a-
does
I
the
think
cell
there's
get
an
its
app
job
now
done
that
efficiently?
Android has it. It's
Does it
called
get it
Text
done
Connect,
productively?
where
Does it get
it'll
it done
beep
effectively?
at you if you
How
have
in the
a
world would we
angle.
ever think that that
So
cell
it'll
would be
beep
able
if
to
you
remain
touch anything like
disease-free
that, so you gotta
in a
hold it
state
up
like that?
this.
Does it not just make sense? But
So
when we remove that
having
that barrier, when we
flex
remove
down,
the interference and
creates a lot of
communication is
strain
restored,
in that back
now
and
the
back.
employee can do their
Everybody's
job,
always
they know
grabbing
they're
their
doing
neck
it
and
right, we can
roll it out.
reaffirm them in that
So
process,
they'll
and
sit
we can
up
make sure that
straight.
they continue to grow and
Hold-
develop
hold
and
your
become more
hand
productive,
on your elbow.
and give promotions and move up the line, right? Same thing with the cell. When the brain can
Driving,
communicate
right, don't
appropriately
have
with
the
the
chair
cell,
lean
the
way
cell
back.
can grow, can build, and
Right.
develop, and do its
Look for some
job,
more
and create functional
90-degree
healing
angles, so-
capacity. It could, if it's a liver
Look for
cell,
a
it can
90-degree
filter out
angle.
toxins.
You don't have
If
to
it's a
go
muscle cell, it
anything
contracts when
like
it's supposed to
that, but
contract,
at least
it
have some
relaxes when it's
supports
supposed to relax.
up
Right?
there.
You get the point here.
Get your head rest up so
Everything
you can
works
put
the
your
way that it's
head
designed and
on there
intended
as
to.
well.
The hormones
I know a lot of
work
ladies
the way
will
that
have
they're
a
supposed to.
ponytail,
It's
right?
extremely
So that'll be
important.
sticking out.
The brain is the
Guys
very
like this,
first
with the
thing to
ponytail
form
section.
when we're
Take it
developing
a
as a
little bit or
fetus.
lower it
The very
down.
first thing.
So just look,
Because
just
it
be
runs
smart
and
about it.
coordinates the entire process
You'll
of
feel the
development from
strain
that point
when
forward.
you're stressed out like that.
The nerve signals travel
Then you got the
at
wallets,
speeds of
right?
328 feet
You
per
got
second.
the
I
George
just put that up there as
Costanza
a fun
wallet,
fact. I just thought that was really cool.
thick one.
So
Right, and
328
everybody puts
feet
that
per
right in their
second.
back
How long
pocket,
does
and
it
then
take
they're
your
sitting on
brain
it.
to communicate with your
So
little
then your
toe?
hips are twisted. That's smart.
Just like that. About as long as it takes
So-
your brain to communicate
so
with your heart.
make it as
Right?
thin as
Because
possible.
at 328
For those
feet per
who
second, it's
still
lightning
carry
fast.
around cash,
Right? Super fast.
You know, those are real thin, but you really only need
This
a
is an
couple parts.
ultrasound.
You can get something real thin
See
like
what's
that.
developing there
I
around the
have no
spinal
idea
cord?
how you need all
Bones
that
of the spine.
to
So
carry
here's
around
the
all the
skull up
time.
here, right?
Leave it in your
And
glove
you
box
see what
if
else
you
is
need to,
developing already?
and-
What do
and,
they have?
lock it
Is
down.
it straight?
So just get something thin.
It has a
right?
curve.
If you got
How
that
cool is
big
that?
George Costanza wallet
Right?
on
Goes and
there,
shows us
it's
the
going to
curves
twist the
are
pelvis
meant
out
and
of
designed
out
to
of
be
alignment,
there.
and then start
So when I
bending
take
that
x-rays of your
lumbar
spine and
spine
it's
out of
straight, you've
alignment,
lost the
drain
curve.
the
Is
strain,
that
drain
normal
the
or
stress,
abnormal?
drain the
Abnormal. The curves are supposed to be
to
there. It makes the
degenerate.
spine on average at
So,
least 20
just
times
that
stronger.
alone,
It's like 23
take that out of
times
your
stronger,
pocket,
right?
maybe put it in your
So
front pocket.
Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, looked well to
Pretty
the
much
spine
every trucker
as
I
a
know
cause of
does
disease.
this.
Again,
They're the ones
another
driving the most out of
brilliant
all of us, and
philosopher.
they keep their
and he understood something
wallet
that
right in
most
their back
people do
pocket.
not
And they're
understand in
wondering why
today's
their back is
society.
so off.
The fact that the brain has to run and
So,
coordinate every
good,
organ, cell,
bad,
tissue, and body.
good.
The
This is just-
spine
I think this is,
is what surrounds and
more of a-
protects that nervous system. And if the spine is in its
Like that.
correct
What does that
alignment, then the nerves can
You got
function
one?
the way that they're designed
Micro?
to. We avoid a lot of
Nice.
unnecessary
I can feel that.
sickness, suffering, disease, and pain.
So yeah, some sleeping positions, right?
So what's normal? What does a
Back
normal
here.
structure look like? Both
So,
straight, We're looking at it straight up and
That's
down.
how you fall asleep like that.
Most people know
That
that.
it's possible.
Look at the spine from the side.
This is more
It actually is supposed to have curvatures.
the Irish
You should
yoga
have these three
style, I think.
flowing, arcing curvatures here.
So
They should be
not
at
the best
45-degree
sleeping positions,
angles.
but
Does anyone know why?
really, it's the
I'll show
same
you in a
idea with
second.
driving or
Fact,
sitting
right
at
here.
the computer
Because
too.
of the
So
strength. The structure is the strength.
we have
Look what you see right here. What do you see on this
stuff like
bridge?
this because we want to actually create that nice
Why?
smooth curve in the
If
neck.
they built it straight across the top and straight across the bottom, it's not as strong as when they
One or
build the
two
curve. Did you
pillows.
know that?
So we're sleeping like this the whole night. No wonder we're
Mechanical
snoring
engineers
because everything's
designed
clogged right
and
there.
figured out
compressed.
what is the
So if you could just use
strongest
your neck
structure
roll,
possible
right? Get rid of the
for
pillow,
allowing
put
the
your head
cars
right
to
on
go
that,
across,
have
to
everything
be able to
straight
absorb the
lines,
forces of them bouncing along the highway,
better.
and to be able to keep
Spouses are
the
happy to
structural
keep the bridge.
integrity without the
Right.
bridge collapsing, right? Have you ever seen the
But,
Hoover Dam before?
If you do have a
Is
pillow,
it straight across blocking the water?
definitely
No, it's a
still
big
have
giant
nice
curve.
alignment.
What angle do
This
you
actually
think that
adds
curve is
the
at?
curve into your neck.
I guarantee you it's at 45 degrees, just like this one is here too.
I typically,
right,
if I'm on
45
my
degrees.
back, I'll
So we're going to
even
flip
bring it
that
down a
bridge
little
on
bit
its
lower,
side,
and I'll
and
have
what do
the
we see
pillow
here?
on my shoulder.
Curve, what do we see right here?
Further
You
back.
see the 45-degree curve? See, God knew what he was doing when our spine was built and developed. He put that 45-degree
If you're
arc
on
in
your
there
side,
because it
best
gave you
thing
the
to
strength
do
and
is
stability. Look, over
to
20
have a
times
pillow
stronger than if it was straight.
that
24
keeps your head
times stronger.
straight.
How
okay?
cool is that?
If your pillow
But what
is
does
too
that
big,
mean if you've
you're
lost
still
the
sleeping like
curvature?
this. If it's too
Now you're a
thin, then
tiny
sleeping
tyke
like
and you've
this.
lost the
You're still
curvature and you're
staying
going to
in the
tackle your first
Okay.
person.
You can get a pillow
What does that
that
do
you
to
can
your neck?
squish or mold, or I like
the
those
kids need to
bamboo
get
pillows
checked.
because you can really mold those in the
Yeah,
right position.
absolutely. They have
Keep
spine
that
in their
spine
system,
straight up
right?
and down.
When is it
and keep
important
that
to know if
brain
their
bias
spine
from
is
happening.
in its correct structural
Also, when you're on your
format?
side, best
When
thing
is
to
that
do is put
important?
a little pillow.
Since day one. I've been adjusting my daughter since
That
she
will
was
help
born.
keep the
I know
hips
Dr.
open
Chad has
rather
been
than
adjusting his
collapsing
kids
them.
since they were born. Dr.
I know a
Steve's
lot
been
of people
adjusting his
have
kids.
a lot of pain.
It's
in that
so
SI joint
important for us to
in the pelvis
understand
and the-
this
and the
stuff
tailbone.
earlier rather than later, right?
If
Do you wait until
start using one of
the
these,
kids
you
are
can
in their late teens or even in their 30s before we teach them how to brush and floss their
Just don't
teeth?
throw it on the floor.
Would anybody consider doing
Dogs
that?
like to use it as
Like, well, it's not
toothpaste.
that important. You know, the first set of teeth, they're all gonna fall out anyway. So like,
in a horrible
why do we
position,
bother
but
with
you
this
still
whole
wanna
brushing and
make
flossing
sure
thing,
your
right?
neck's
No,
strong,
everybody would
spine
think that was
is
preposterous.
there.
So if I stuck your kid's spine on their forehead, I bet you would take
Yeah,
care
so
of
when
it
you're
better,
sleeping,
right? Because you'd have to look at it all
brain's
the time.
actually
Nerve tissue sensitivity. In 2 separate studies, it was shown as little as 10 to 45 millimeters of mercury pressure. So this is
So you
literally
really
the
have
weight of a
proper
coin on
natural
your hand.
curves while you're sleeping.
The weight of a
That's why
coin. How much does a
we
coin
actually
weigh?
give you
Not much. So if I stick that, the weight of a
big
coin on a
one for your
nerve,
neck
this is
and
what
small
happened.
one for your
If
lower
you
back.
place that on a nerve root,
Proper
it was
curves
enough
in
to
the lumbar.
change the nerve impulses by 40 to 60% within a matter of a few minutes. This is out of Spine from January
So lifting,
1999.
like I said
Now, when
before,
your spine is
we're not
torqued
gonna
out of
lift with our
alignment
backs,
and it's
right?
putting
That's
pressure
just
on the
taking
nerve, you
curve
think
out,
that's more or less than
straighten
the weight of a
off
coin?
strain. It's when the
Easily
bridge just
more,
collapses,
right?
right? If
And
you
so it's
lift
already
more, like
impacting
with
the
your legs,
nerve and the end
open up your
result.
leg stance, right?
With
Go
that
down, grab
misalignment.
it, lift it
So
up
posture
with
is
your
literally our
legs,
window
not,
into the spine. This is why we
lower back.
analyze your posture when you came into the office. So it should be
So
straight
high
up and
heels.
down, shoulders should be level, pelvis should be
Ladies,
level,
you
knees,
look
hips,
great
and
in high
ankles should
heels.
all be level,
I
right?
can tell you
So if
that,
I came in
but
and looked like this
it's
model
lower
here
back.
on the second picture, and I came into the office and looked like this, is that normal or abnormal?
Special occasions.
That's abnormal. What does that tell us is
Every day at
happening
work.
inside the body?
So
There's a
what it
structural
does is
shift.
it obviously
Now we've
raises your
shifted
heel
too
up off the
far
ground.
off the initial
It'll shift
norm
your
of the
mass
design of the
forward,
structure of the
right?
human
It'll
frame,
actually
which tells me
increase
that
the
not only are
curves,
the joints
right,
not
in
going to
your spine
function
and your
mechanically the way that they should. Because
along
if you
the
take a
legs
strut on a
too,
car,
straight
right,
up.
and it's supposed to be able to absorb a shock absorber, right, and it's supposed to be able to absorb shocks straight up and down, and I put it at an angle like this and try and get it to absorb shocks that way, it doesn't work right, does it? When you take a joint in the spine and you misalign it like this, and now it's trying to take those compressive forces from all the things that we have to do throughout the day, it doesn't work right. So the joint wears away faster. You guys wonder how a herniated disc can happen, right? Take this spine now and put weight. Here's one of the worst things that people do. They have a bad misaligned spine, and they go to the gym and they do what? Superman exercises, right? And you put more compressive force on top of your spine, or you're throwing a bag of mulch over your shoulder, right? Or you're lifting the luggage at the airport, or whatever things that you have to do, and you never check to see what things look like on the inside. And now you put further compressive force on that. You don't have the curves anymore. The spine can't spring load and absorb those forces, and so guess what has to take the impact?
Good, right? Make
the
sure you can
discs.
get your stuff done.
And the discs are the cushions that are meant to cushion the forces, but if it's misaligned, just like a jelly donut, it's going to squeeze right out the side, right? And when that happens, that's called a disc bulge, a disc protrusion, a disc herniation. You've probably heard this terminology before. How does arthritis set into the spine? Anyone wondered that before? Same mechanism. You have a misalignment to the spine. Now you're lifting, you're bending, you're twisting. Every day that you move on that misaligned spine, what is it doing to the joint mechanically? Is it making it healthier or making it sicker? So it makes the joint sicker. It's actually destroying the joint faster than it should. So listen to this. Your body is so smart that it actually starts to grow bone spurs off the side of the bone to try and stabilize it. How many of you have seen like those big huge cranes for construction, right? They extend, so they don't have them when they're hauling it on the trailer, but then they fold out these arms and they put these big huge stabilizer arms out on the crane, because if it just had that little tiny base and it went to go pick something up heavy, what would happen to the crane? Right? So you put these big huge arms out there and it stabilizes it. So when your spine is in a structurally unstable position and it's too far misaligned, it starts to grow these appendages of bone outside of it. Guess what that's called? That's a bone spur. That's called arthritis. Wait, but my doctor told me arthritis was due to old age. Well, I'll show you a bone, I'll show you the spine. One segment perfectly healthy, no arthritis. The segment right below it, completely degenerated, full of arthritis. How old is that segment compared to that segment? Same age. Is it due to old age? No, age is certainly a factor. The longer that my spine is misaligned, guess what? The more arthritic that segment's going to be. Does that make sense? So we kind of clear some of that stuff up once and for all.
In the Senior Olympics, raises the minimum age to 80,
to see what's
right?
going
All
on.
these cool things we can think about in the future.
Leaning tower
if we
piece
just built
effect
that
going on here, right? And you got
so
to
if you want
compensate
that,
for
if
all
you
those
want to be in the
different
Senior
structural
Olympics after
misalignments.
right?
What's happening
we
to this
have
person's
an amazing
spine?
new patient special for those
It's
who
not
are guests
functioning
here.
mechanically the way that it's
So
supposed to.
the way it
we're
works,
talking about
it's
either,
3 days in the
at some
office.
point,
Normally it's about
a disc herniation,
$210.
disc protrusion, right?
We do the
Arthritis,
consult, we do
so it's
a
gonna wear the
history,
joint away
we
much
have a
faster
really
than
cool
it should.
posture
Then what's the
analysis
second impact
shows
that
you how
happens when
much
we
your
have
head
structural
weighs and
deviation?
where your shoulders off
This
and
little
your
thing
hips.
called the
We
nervous
do a
system,
computer
right?
nerve scan. We
So
do the
when
X-rays
we
if we
get too
need
far
to.
misaligned, not only does
Even
it
a
cause
second day, we
joint
get into an
dysfunction,
adjustment,
mechanical
see how you
joint
respond to
dysfunction,
everything.
but then it also
Third
causes
visit where we sit
interference
down
to
with
the
you and say,
nerves
look,
as well.
here's your X-rays, this is what we got to correct.
So let's take a
And
look
this
at
is
a couple
how
of these,
we
right?
put a plan together for you.
Normal
It's
posture, head's
affordable,
supposed to sit up
then
directly
we'll
over the
call it
shoulders,
front.
right?
So it's only
For every
$127
inch that you go
instead of that
forward,
$210. So
the
for any
head
guests
has an
here,
apparent
you can definitely
weight
sign up
of
or
being
talk to
heavier.
John or any of the
Same
girls
thing
around
if you were to
here.
hold a
Time to
10-pound
get
bowling
checked.
ball.
If you know
If you hold
someone
a
who needs to get
10-pound
checked,
bowling ball
sign them up.
here
Right, just
versus
drag them in,
here,
they'll be happy, they'll be
which one
thankful
feels
for it.
heavier?
If you
The
have
one out
any
here, right? It's a
family
lot
friends that
heavier to
want
hold,
to
it feels a lot heavier,
break
so that's what
something
they
like
call
this, we have
apparent
dinners,
head
we
weight.
have more
So the
workshops.
head weighs the
Keep those
same,
in mind
but
as
the
well.
further forward
So
it
we need to
goes,
save
look
up,
what happens to
right?
the apparent head weight down
Need your
here.
help.
It should be between about 8
Unfortunately,
to 12 pounds. That's how
I
much
think
a
there's
normal human head weighs, right?
800,000
8 to
people
12
in
pounds.
Milwaukee.
For every inch
So
that it
we
goes
need
forward, it jumps up
to
another
sell
10
out
pounds.
Miller Stadium, right? We need to do this
So,
at Miller Park.
You think about
We need
that
to
for a
have the
second.
whole
Your head's
place
sitting
filled
all the
up
way out
with
here in
all
front of
the
your
different
body.
people.
So then
Keep
these
promoting it,
muscles
be part of
back
our
here, what do
mission,
they do?
And we can keep saving lives.
They tighten up because they're trying to pull that
So,
head back.
thanks,
They're
everybody.
trying to
We'll
pull the
stick
head
around
back.
for any
But there's a
questions.
mechanical dysfunction there that
besides
won't
that.
allow it to pull it back. So now you feel all tight in your shoulders and you've been working on the computer all day, you've had a really long week, you say, I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to go and get a massage. And you loosen those muscles up, and what happens when you loosen those muscles up? The head goes further forward, right? Because you're not addressing the structural cause of what's going on. What do you really need to do? Well, you need to do some traction, you need to do some head weighting, you need to get an adjustment. We need to start correcting that structurally. Now, if you have tight muscles and your posture is correct, I'm going to say, okay, let's go get a massage now. Now that's a useful benefit, right? Does that make sense? It's not that massages aren't good or useful, just don't have them loosen up. You don't want to counteract what the body's trying to do if you're going to make the condition worse. Does that make sense? Nobody wants to be counterproductive. So what they found is older men and women with hyperkyphosis, that's where you get the hunchback here and the forward head posture, die earlier. The Journal of American Geriatric Society, what did they find that they died earlier? That seems Really simple, right? You have a hunchback, you die earlier. It's a bad deal. What they found is that because of the compressive forces on the spine, particularly where that hump would be, look where those nerves go to. The heart and the lungs. So they found that they were dying early of heart disease and lung disease. How crazy is that? Take a look here at this spinal degeneration. So this person is facing towards me. That's a nice, healthy, functional curve. When you lose the curve, it's literally going to show you how the bones start to grow those appendages and those bone spurs that we were talking about. And that degeneration process sets in. It literally starts to seal the spine together where it literally can't even be fully corrected anymore. So take a look here at this video. See the loss of curve coming? So we're losing the curve, and then it'll start to collapse on itself. Because remember, with the curve, the spine is 24 times stronger. So now that it's completely lost the curve, in fact, we're getting a little reverse curve here. Look at the appendages start to grow off the fronts of the bones here. Can you see that? See those nose-like projections coming off the front here? Those are the bone spurs. That's arthritis and degeneration setting in. Look what also is happening to the disc. Can you see the disc being compressed under those abnormal forces now? Everyone see that? Right? So the 30-second video is extremely powerful in showing that. Now that's a decades-long time lapse, right? That's not something that happens instantly. But the point being is that by the time you actually feel that issue going on, it's already curves lost. There's already some disc. There's already some level of permanent damage that's happened there. Does that make sense? So we obviously want to catch it way before it ever gets to that point, because if you keep the spine in its healthy alignments, the discs function the way that they're supposed to, the bones function the way that they're supposed to, you don't get these degenerative patterns. I had a 72-year-old lady come in a couple weeks ago. We x-rayed her, perfect curve in her neck. The discs still look amazing. She had just the tiniest little bone spurs on the end of the bone. But her spine looked like most 25-year-old spines that come into my office now, right? Because she maintained the curve. Now, she did all kinds of cool yoga stuff and exercise stuff, but she had been doing it for over 50 years, so the majority of her life, right? So she was, able to compensate that care, but she had no idea she was caring for her spine properly. But by keeping the mobility and the exercises, and she still had some stuff going on her pelvis and other things that she wasn't able to keep, from going awry because she didn't know any better. But just by keeping that curve in the neck, it showed how powerful that was in preventing these spinal issues from ever happening in the first place. So, really cool stuff. What is scoliosis? This is a very severe form of subluxation, where when we're looking at the spine from straight on, from front to back, or back to front, we get the curvature here. And it's an S-shaped curvature in the spine. That's what scoliosis is. And what they found is that scoliosis, on average, takes between 14 to 20 years off of someone's life because of the impact that it has on the joints and the impact that it has on the nervous system. And so if you marginally choke off the nerve, remember we talked about just the weight of a coin started to make a difference in the nerve impulse? When you misalign with the spine, it literally starts suffocating the organs and keeping them from functioning and healing the way that they should. Literally hacking 20 years off somebody's life, just like that. And by the way, these are correctable now, non-surgically. We actually have a specialist that we'll send people into for scoliosis, and they can actually get this corrected. What they found is that typically it stems from birth trauma, right? During the birth process, it can be a very traumatic experience for the newborn baby. Even if it's a natural, healthy delivery, the twisting and the pulling that occurs during that process, if the upper bone in the spine, the atlas, the very top bone, if that bone gets twisted incorrectly, what happens is it puts a pressure on those motor nerves, the nerves that control the muscles in the body, and so it's overstimulating one side of the motor nerves and understimulating the other side of the motor nerves. And so what happens then is the body ends up doing this corkscrew motion in the spine because of that unbalance in the musculature. Does that make sense? So literally corkscrews the pelvis, and it corkscrews from the top, and it literally just starts twisting up on itself, and that's where you get that scoliosis curvature from. So they find if they can catch it early enough before the bones start to grow the spurs, and before it becomes arthritic and starts to degenerate, Because that's basically like a natural fusion that's occurring. That's why I say it's like pouring concrete in the joint. So when they find if they can catch it early enough and uncorkscrew the spine and then stabilize it by rehabbing the weak muscles and relaxing the rigid muscles, you can actually get some imbalance to restoring those imbalances and actually start to get this stuff corrected. It's actually really, really cool stuff. So the best analysis, that's the reason why we take x-rays of every single patient that comes in the office. You want to know what's going on structurally in the spine, right? You wouldn't want me to adjust your spine not having taken a look under the hood. And there are certainly some doctors out there that do that, but I just don't feel comfortable with that. Your spine and your nervous system, literally your body's lifeline, is in my hands. If I'm going to adjust that, then I want to make sure that I'm doing the absolute best job for you on it. And that's just the level of integrity that we feel we should approach this with. So normal, nice, beautiful, functional curve through here. Abnormal, we have lost the curve. And so the spine is way too straight along here. And you can see, even with that, the discs are starting to flatten out. We're seeing those nose-like projections here on the bottom of the bones because the arthritis is already setting in. So what does that look like? Well, when you take a cross-section of the spine, with the normal curve there, you can actually see the brainstem is nice and relaxed. There's no tension on the spinal cord through here. We have nice fluffy discs in there that can absorb the traumas of the spine, absorb any mechanical forces that we would put through there. When we lose the curvature, however, the brainstem is now being tugged down into the spinal canal. Can you see the difference there? The spinal cord is actually being compressed here in a couple regions. As a result of that, we're already starting to see some disc protrusion into the spinal canal back here, and right here, and right here, right? These are unhealthy movement patterns that are happening within the spine. And as that further progresses, it further compresses the spinal cord. So you can see the pons. This is the base of the brain stem right here. This should flow down into the spinal cord, and you can see the inhibitory effect that's happening there. See how there's just this faintest little line of power that's flowing through. So when we talk about breaking the connection, breaking the communication between the brain and the cells, is this person healthy or sick?
Very sick.
That's a sick nerve system. Now, the interesting thing about this is this person comes into the office and they're completely asymptomatic, meaning they don't have any symptoms at all. But you all just told me they were sick. So how do we define that then? Is it based on how they feel, how they look, what their genetics are, or is it based on how their body is functioning and healing from the inside out? So you're already starting to understand the difference in the process and the analysis of what we're implying here is literally the most cutting-edge healthcare delivery system that exists on the planet right now. Because if you open up this person's spinal cord and the power in the brain can start to flow back through again, and now we equip that healing power with the correct nutrients, and we exercise this person's body and keep them clear of toxins, the organ systems are going to function to heal exactly the way they're designed to. Make sense? 6-year-old twin brothers. This is a perfect case of that. They had the exact same medical care. They were both vaccinated. They had both been on antibiotics multiple times. They both, had exposure to whatever other medications that the mom thought was necessary, right? So they both received the exact same medical care. The child that remained seemingly healthy, look at the curve. Can you see this nice, beautiful, functional curve here in his spine? This is what his spine looked like, right? And the other child, twins. Exact same genetic makeup. Born at the exact same time. Ate the same foods. Probably played and exercised about the same amount, right? So almost every factor that you could think of environmentally, a control, right? A consistent factor. This child had a negative curve in his neck and regressed into autism. Healthy or sick? So again, it's not about how we feel, it's about how we're functioning. The sensory nerves is the smallest component of the entire spinal cord and the nervous system. Symptoms are the last thing to show up. They're usually the first thing to go away. I don't adjust based on symptoms. I don't treat your case based on symptoms. We adjust your spine because that's what keeps your nervous system and your brain as healthy as humanly possible. That's the only reason why I get up and go to work every single day. because I know that I'm restoring life back into people's bodies, that I'm reconnecting you with the source, right? You know, if you look at this from a Greek terminology standpoint, lux means light, lux meaning light. So if you look at the word subluxation, sub meaning less than, full light. Ation is a condition of. So if you break down that word and the etiology of that word, subluxation literally means less than a full expression of light. How cool is that? Because we know where the light comes from, right? God's put the most amazing healing power. He puts the light, His Spirit, inside each and every single one of us. This is why we call chiropractic an above-down, inside-out approach, because the power comes from above down, from heaven, from God, down into our bodies. That's what gives us the expression of life. God even says biblically, He breathed life into man, right? He breathes life. His Spirit is inside each and every single one of us. So subluxation is an expression of less than full light. Every time I adjust a patient's body and we remove subluxation, we're restoring the light. We're restoring you back to what God designed and created you to be. And that's my prayer over each and every single person when I lay my hands on their body. All I have to do is move the bone. God will do the healing. I know that, right? I know that every time I move the bone. So then we know that each bone carries the own weight of the segments that it goes to within the nervous system, and within the body. So you can see the nerves are connected to the different organ tissues throughout your entire body. So let's say, hey, you got digestive issues. Well, we're going to look at those nerves in the lower back. But oh, by the way, there's a nerve that runs all the way up here from the digestive system to the upper neck as well. Right? So you really want to make sure that you're looking at the entire spine. It acts as an engine. And Robert Sperry's research showed this guy devoted over 50 years of his life to researching the intimate connections between the spine and the nervous system. And he found that 90% of the nutrition in the brain is directly a result of the proper mobility of the spine. Does anyone know why that is? In the base of your spine, you have something called the sacrum. It's a little triangular bone down here. The sacrum is responsible for pumping the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. That's your nerve fluid. It's the fluid, it's like the blood for the nervous system. It's the fluid that nourishes the nerves and the brain. And the sacrum is called the sacral pump for a reason, because every time we walk, the sacrum nutates and counter-nutates back and forth, and it acts as a pump that pumps the cerebrospinal fluid all the way up from the bottom of the spine, and it pumps it all the way up to the brain and circulates it all the way back through. Now, if you have misalignments along the way in your spine, how well is your nourishment going to get back up to your brain? That's why he discovered that 90% of the nutrition of the brain comes from proper mobility and movement of the spine. That won a Nobel Peace Prize back in 1981. 1981. I was born in 1981. Right? Shows you how long it's been around. Of course, if we do nothing for the problem, we talked about the degeneration. This is very clear here. See these spinal projections? That's what I was talking about. That's like the arms of the crane coming out trying to stabilize the bone. Can you see that now? Right? So the need for lifetime care, does it not make sense that we should take care of this most important part of the healing component of our body, the spine and the nerve system? Research has shown that joint immobility, subluxation, can lead to permanent damage in as little as 2 weeks. Why do you think that the lowest recommendation that I make for maintenance care in our offices is 2 times a month? That's what the research shows, right? I would never recommend that you would get adjusted less than, or at least get your spine checked at least 2 times a month. That would be a minimum maintenance frequency for proper lifetime care of your spine. That's what the research shows. Journal of Clinical Biomechanics, 1987. Here's the other reason. You ever heard of a spine transplant before? Neither have I. Take care of the one that you have. Rates of spinal fusion have increased by more than 250% in the last 15 years, but the benefits are not enough to offset the cost. The cost of surgery, anywhere between 70 to over 100 grand. It's actually even more now. This was done back in 2008. Now it's up in the $150,000 to $200,000 range. Due to the extremely high failure rate with back surgery, a new classification was created called failed back surgery syndrome. Literally, if you have a family, a coworker, or a loved one that says that they're considering surgery, grab them by the collar and drag them to the chiropractor. Here's the reason why. Likelihood for surgery of workers with back injuries, if the first point of contact was for a surgeon, 42% of those people ended up in surgery. If their first point of contact was with a chiropractor, less than 2% ended up in a surgery. Why do you believe that is? Right? Chiropractic works. You just got to put it to work for you, right? How do you fix the spine? This is why we have our mixed fix set, right? You come in, you warm up, you do your wobble, you do your traction. The fix is the adjustment. You lay on the adjusting table. We're literally moving bones in the spine. We're removing that interference. We're getting things motioning mechanically the way that they were designed and intended to. Get that sacral pump working again. Get the nutrition flowing through your nervous system. And then we set it. That's the rehab. So then you go back and you put the head weights on with the vibration plate. And then we've also assigned rehab specifically for you at home so that you can follow up with your rehab in between visits so that we're actually making structural changes and building one adjustment on top of the next that we can take you from here to here, right? Before and after, this just goes through a couple cases, but those of you that have been around long enough, you've seen your x-rays. We take your x-rays, we take new x-rays, and what happens? You make structural changes, right? You just got to follow the system in order for that to happen. So there's all kinds of different chiropractic adjusting instruments out there. We prefer the ArthroStim because it delivers the most specific and precise force into the spine as far as the instruments are concerned. Many of you may have seen this before. It's called an activator. This is a spring-loaded machine. It literally feels like somebody is like thumping a tap on the side of your spine. Nothing against it. It works. It's not going to move bones, though. It does take pressure off the nerve system. It does stimulate joint mobility, but it's not going to take you from here to here. Does that make sense? Okay, same thing with the impulse over here. Very specific. It's got electric, but honestly, I prefer the ArthroStim over the impulse because as many people as we see in our offices, I would burn through an impulse about once a month. They're just not as mechanically built as soundly as the ArthroStim is. You have your at-home rehab equipment, so Dr. Chad's going to show you a little bit of this as well, but the reason we assign these things is there's very specific subluxations for your individual case. Each one of the components that we assign within that rehabilitation is addressing a specific deficiency or improper structural alignment in your spine. So it's important to do each and every single one of those exercises that we assign. I can promise you that myself and my other doctors, we don't assign an exercise for you just for fun. Just be like, oh, well, that would be funny to envision them having to do that at home, right? So we don't do that to you, I promise. They're all designed for a very specific purpose of correction for your spine. So make sure that you are, in fact, doing home rehab. You got your wedges. The wedges are the most prominent thing for taking the rotation out of the pelvis. So if you looked at your x-rays and your pelvic bones are unlevel, that's these two bones right here, right? If that's unlevel, if you have rotation in the pelvis, the way that we derotate that is we have you sleep on the molds. So the adjustments help to reset it, but the molds help to stretch the ligaments down there in the base of the spine so that we can keep getting structural change over time. Okay, so you got to do the molds. The wobble chair, that's the most important thing for rehydrating the discs. Guess what else it does? When you're wobbling like this, it's also working that pump, right? So it works the sacral pump. It actually pumps that CSF up into the brain, helps to nourish the brain, helps to nourish all the discs. So that's a great nourishment tool. The traction unit is to help us to be able to restore the curvature back in here to the neck. It addresses the ligament dysfunction there. So it's extremely important to make sure you're doing your traction. And your rolls. The rolls you sleep on also to help to restore the curvatures here. So again, we want the spine to get all the strength and stability that it's capable of. So with the curve, it's 24 times stronger. So you sleep on those molds for at least a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes a night. It helps us to remold the spine into that curvature, which gives it strength and stability. And then the head weight, when you put the head weight here on the front, as soon as you put weight there, what does your body want to do? It wants to pull it up. So So that helps to take the forward head posture out, but it also develops these intrinsic spinal muscles, the core muscles of the neck, to help lock the curvature in and keep it strong and stabilized. Okay? So just a quick review there of what all those are doing. I'm going to bring Dr. Chad up. He's going to go through some ergonomic stuff for you guys. Not only do we want to help you be able to understand why you're doing it, but also understand some of the things that you may be doing at home or work that are keeping you from getting the best results with caring for your spine. So Dr. Chad, he's going to show you some of the traumas, some of the things to avoid, and we'll take it away from there.
Hey guys.
Hello.
So let's figure out how we can do some things to avoid what Dr. was talking about. We don't want to end up in those bad situations. So, anybody relate to this?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you just want to bang your head on the computer, stress everything. This is kind of putting both the traumas into one. You got the abrupt trauma and you got the repetitive trauma. So, everybody typically is sitting at a desk now for a job. So now we have the degenerative desk disease. Right, because we're sitting at our desk just degenerating the whole time. And of course, the abrupt ones are the accidents you might have gotten into, whether it was a trip or a fall or a car accident or a sports injury or something like that. So this is just kind of part of life, right? So we want to make sure that we can do certain things to not let this happen and to be able to correct it as much as possible. So the first one, of course, an abrupt trauma would be birth. You probably wouldn't think that at first. Inkling. So when it comes to birth, it's a pretty violent process now. It's in a hospital. It's really a procedure, right? It's no longer a labor or like a delivery or the baby's coming in. It's literally a procedure, medical procedure. So right now, even babies should be born with that neck curve we were talking about. If they don't have one, it's likely due to birth trauma and straightening. So this is 1977. So get a little graphic. This is just a couple examples of through a birth trauma. You got the suction cup, you got the forceps. Now we're getting pulled out of the birth canal, right? C-section. All these things are very violent on these poor little babies' spines. I won't leave that up too long. But this is what happens afterwards. It could be that torticollis, the head could be twisted, the bones could be twisted. And of course, these babies typically have ear infections. They're very colicky. They can't feed or breastfeed on one side. They get more infections, just things that we want to avoid. So after seeing those pictures, how many do you think should get checked right at birth?
Oh.
Everybody, right?
Every single one.
Do you think chiropractors should be in hospitals?
Yes.
Absolutely. So every time I have to go and adjust a patient who's pregnant or going to the hospital or something like that, I have to sneak in pretty much because there's a chiropractor here. They do voodoo. Don't let them touch the baby. They're doing some weird things. So, the births that I've been at, of course, my patients call me when they're in labor. Usually the dad calls me, and I typically go to the hospital or the birth center or a house, wherever they are, so we can adjust the baby when it comes out, but also adjust the mom, so labor goes a lot easier. So, of course, we want to avoid this as much as possible. The scary thing is SIDS, of course. So I can't think of anything more worse than losing a child, right? So SIDS is that sudden infant death syndrome. So about 6,000 babies die every year just from SIDS. Now they consider SIDS idiopathic. They don't know what has happened. But the studies that we've reviewed, which goes back to 1991 even earlier, it shows that there's actually a huge misalignment between the skull and the top bone. Okay, so if there's a baby who's got these neck traumas, the first thing you gotta do is get them adjusted. How much is that worth? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, more than that, 1.4 million, right? So that's why we always check babies, no matter what. And if the baby's been born, if it's 2 months old, 4 months old, whatever it takes, we got to get them adjusted. If it's a friend, if it's a neighbor, if it's your grandson or granddaughter, whatever, we check them. Okay, just let us check them. That's why it's that important for kids to get adjusted. So, can everybody say, ah? So this is for someone who has an ache or pain or back pain or something like that, chiropractic goes all the way back to babies. This child here has probably more innate wisdom than all of us do, right? We're all born with the exact same genes, exact same power, and unfortunately, from our bad eating habits, from the ergonomics I'm going to talk about, our bad posture, all the actions we've been in, all the trips and falls, everything we've done in our lives, we keep diminishing that power inside our body, but this baby has more of that power right now. This thing has the potential to live to 120 with great health, amazing abundance, right? So we don't want a single nanosecond of information not getting to the rest of the body. So with our two kids, we both had them, both our kids were born at home, right, out of the hospital. We avoided, that birth trauma. They got adjusted immediately, right after they came out. So we just want to give them the best possible life we can do, so we all adjust right away. When it comes to being pregnant, so definitely has reduced labor times with chiropractic. First child is typically about 24% of the time. If you're having your second or third, it reduces it by 39%. Right, and this MD actually showed that be able to carry and deliver more comfortably. So I know it's a thing that with a lot of pregnant women, they start doing that waddle at the end, right? So one of my patients, she's due like right now. I adjusted her today. I'm like, I probably won't see you like this anymore because by Thursday or Friday, you probably would have this baby. She's like, well, I'm still coming in on Thursday if I don't have the baby. But her husband's like, wow, Dr. Chad must be doing some good for you because you don't waddle like those other pregnant ladies. So just good stuff. But we want to keep moms healthy as much as possible, make the delivery as easy as possible. Just make sure the brain-body connection is there because women are made for this and they're designed perfectly for it. They don't need all the bells and whistles and like monitors and shots and all this other stuff that they're trying to push on women in the hospitals. So even if you're in labor, typically you'd be using about half the amount of pain relievers too. So exciting things to get adjusted while you're pregnant. So you got besides birth, you got sports, you got falls, you got car accidents. Sports have been getting more of a in the news lately because of all the concussions and stuff like that. So they're looking at kids in football when they're in youth football and stuff like that. Falls, of course, we've all climbed a tree and probably fallen out of it. We've tripped and hit the coffee table or something like that when we're trying to walk. Even car accidents, all these things are blunt force traumas that are going to knock the spine out of alignment. So this is probably you every day, right? We're all sitting at that computer, we're carrying those big desks. So, like Dr. Matt was talking about, you have to have the proper alignments in the spine. From the side, you have to have 3 curves. Like you can see, if you're sitting at a computer, right, your head goes way forward, you roll that back. So does that look healthy? Oh, no. So if you're carrying a big backpack, typically your weight goes forward like this, with a lot of stress on it. Even if you are carrying on one shoulder, like if you're carrying your purse, those body bag purses that everybody carries around on one shoulder is going to shift the whole spine out of position. So we want to avoid this as much as possible. Even this little girl, she's on the cell phone, so she's on her back, and she's got a pillow right up behind her head, so her neck is curved like that. Not good for the spine. So the less you can do these things, or the more you're aware of it, the better your spine will be. Some other things, you might be driving. I know a lot of people might put their seat way back and then they're driving like this, right? You don't look cool when you're doing that. You might be riding a bike, you're bent over like this. A lot of people will lift with their back, right? So instead of lifting with your legs, you're gonna lift with your back where you're pulling that curve out, right? Then you're lifting up, so you took that curve out, you took that strength out, the bridge is no longer there. If you're lifting with your legs, you keep that nice curve in that lumbar, and then you can lift up that extra weight. Right, sitting on a phone, please don't talk like this for 8 hours on the phone, right? That's just gonna create a lot of neck tension and pain. Get one of those little headsets, they're probably $20. So sitting on your couch, right on your side, with your head on the ledge, not a good thing. Laying on your back with your head chin flexed, not that great. So avoid these repetitive traumas. If you can just at least notice that you're doing these things, or maybe your spouse can nudge you and say, don't do these things, you can avoid these subluxations. So what's the proper way of sitting, driving, or even laying, lifting? So this is just a couple of people sitting on a computer. So this guy's got this really tiny little chair, right? Rolled forward, looking at the computer. The goal would be to have a much bigger chair, right? Some good support. You're sitting upright. You've got more of these 90-degree angles, right? The head's, the chin is parallel with the ground. I would even raise the monitor up a little bit. Put your monitor up to like here, right? So you're looking straight. I know in chiropractic school, you would think chiropractors would school would have some great chairs, but for 3 years I sat in a chair that bent like right here, so just right in the mid back, just bent right over, and just put a kink in every single one of our backs. Is awful. So sitting in that chair for 3 years is bad. So again, sitting at that computer, public enemy #1 in the workplace. So this is where you're getting that degenerative disc disease rolled like that. And a lot of stress. Got our cell phones now, right? So we're trying to hide what we have on the phone, so we're looking way down like this, right? Hold it up, right? So type or read it or whatever you gotta do. I think there's an app now. I know Android has it. It's called TextNeck, where it'll beep at you if you have it at a certain angle. So it'll beep if you're texting something like that. So you got to hold it up like this so you can text or read it. So having that chin flexed down creates a lot of strain in that back of the neck. Everybody low, grabbing that neck and trying to roll it out. So sit up straight. You can hold your hand on your elbow and just read your text like that. Driving, right? Don't have the chair lean way back, right? Look for some more 90-degree angles. So look for that 90-degree angle. Right? You don't have to go 10 and 2 or anything like that, but at least have some supports up there. Get your head rest up so you can put your head on there as well. I know a lot of ladies will have a ponytail, right? So that'll be sticking out. And so when they drive like this, because their ponytail's touching, take it out for a little bit or lower it down. So just be smart about it. You'll feel the strain when you're stressed out like that. Then you got the wallets, right? You got the George Costanza wallet, right? The thick one, right? And everybody puts that right in their back pocket, and then they're sitting on it, right? So then your hips are twisted. Is that smart? No. So make it as thin as possible. So for those who still carry around cash, those are real thin, but you really only need a couple cards. You can get something real thin like that. I have no idea how you need all that to carry around all the time. Leave it in your glove box if you need to, and lock it down. So just get something thin, right? So you have that big George Costanza wallet out there. It's going to twist the pelvis out of alignment, and then start bending that lumbar spine out of alignment, creating the strain, creating the stress, creating those bone spurs, creating the disc degenerate. So just that alone, take that out of your pocket, maybe put it in your front pocket. Just don't sit on it. Pretty much every trucker I know does this. They're the ones driving the most out of all of us, and they keep their wallet in their back pocket and wondering why their back is so well. So good, bad, good. I think this is more of a
Micro wallet.
What is it called? You got
Micro
one?
wallet.
Micro? Nice. Nobody can steal that. Yeah. So sleeping positions. Right. Thank you. I'm not too sure how you fall asleep like that, but it's possible. This is more Irish yoga. Not the best sleeping position, but really, it's a same idea with driving or sitting at the computer too. So we have you sleep on stuff like this, because we want to actually create that nice smooth curve into the neck. Okay, but most of us have one or two pillows, so we're sleeping like this the whole night. No wonder we're snoring, because everything's clogged right there, compressed. So if you could just use your neck roll, right? Get rid of the pillow, get your head right on the mattress, have everything straight in line. You get a nice airway, you breathe, you get more oxygen, you sleep better. Spouses are happy because you're not snoring, right? But if you do have a pillow, right, you can definitely still have it nice in alignment. This just actually adds the curve into your neck rather than keeping you from flexing the neck. Right? I typically, if I'm on my back, I'll even bring it down a little bit lower. I'll have the pillow on my shoulders too, so I can get my head further back. It just helps me sleep at night better when I'm on my back. If you're on your side, best thing to do is to have a pillow that keeps your head straight, okay? If your pillow is too big, you're still sleeping like this. If it's too thin, then you're sleeping like this. You're still straining that spine, okay? So if you can get a pillow that you can squish or mold, or I like those bamboo pillows because you can really mold those in the right position. Keep that spine straight up and down and keep that brain-body connection happening. Also, when you're on your side, the best thing to do is put a little pillow between your knees too. That will help keep the hips open rather than collapsing them. I know a lot of people will have a lot of pain in that SI joints between the pelvis and the tailbone. If you are using one of these, you can put the back between your legs too. Just don't throw it on the floor because the dogs like to use it as chew toys. This isn't a horrible position, but you still want to make sure you're not straining the spine when you left there. Right, so when you're sleeping, your brain's actually more active than you are when you are awake, because your brain is trying to heal your body, it's trying to allow it to function and repair it. So you really have to have the proper natural curves while you're sleeping. So that's why we actually give you both of these. So you got the big one for your neck and the small one for your lower back to actually create the proper curves in your lumbar and your neck. So lifting, like I said before, we're not going to lift with our backs, right? That's just taking the curve out and creating a lot of strain. It's when the bridge would just collapse, right? If you lift more with your legs, open up your leg stance, right? Lift it up with your legs, not your lower. So high heels, right? Ladies, you look great in high heels. I'm going to tell you that, but it destroys your lower back, okay? Save these things for special occasions. I just wouldn't wear them every day at work, okay? So what it does is it obviously raises your heel up off the ground. It'll shift the center of mass forward, right? It'll actually increase the curves, right, in your spine and your legs, even elongating your legs too, creating like a hyper curve in your spine. So hypo meaning straight, hyper meaning too curved. You know, we want it at that 45-degree curve. That's where it's strongest. Anything other than that, it's much weaker and a lot of strain. So this is just an X-ray of someone's foot in a probably a 4-inch stripper heel. Right? So just an example. So if you don't have time and money to improve your health while you feel good, right? What makes you think you have time and money to improve your health once you've lost it, right? So hopefully that will resonate with you, because I know when people get sick or like a flu, or you feel horrible, right? And then once you start getting healthier again, or you feel better, it's amazing how good you feel compared to what you did when you had the flu or something like that. So take advantage of feeling good, right? Make sure you can get your stuff done and keep feeling good and keep strengthening your body. Really, you want to make sure health has no finish line. You're always building your health. You're always trying to improve. So That's why some people here probably come to 20 plus workshops, because they're always learning, they're always evolving. Our workshops keep improving. I learn new things every single time we do these things. So just keep improving your health. So to come to the end here, if you have any warning signs, any of these symptoms, right? You know you have subluxation, you know you have tendinitis in the spine. So this is just a small handful of symptoms that people do come into our office and want help with. And again, we care about your symptom, or we don't care about your symptom. You know what I mean? We do want to get you to feel good as quick as possible. We want to make sure that you can get to the cause of the problem, rather than just like, oh, my headache's gone, I don't have to get adjusted anymore, right? You correct the spine so that you function at a higher level. So headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain, upper back pain, sciatica, numbness and tingling, sinus problems, fibromyalgia, impotence, high blood pressure, you name it. These are all warning signs telling you that there's something up, there's a misalignment, there's a subluxation, your nervous system's getting choked off. So for any guests here, it's time to get checked, okay? So our vision though, here, this is, let's have a little vision maybe 4 years from now or something like that. You know, chiropractic becomes the #1 in global healthcare, right? Wouldn't that be great if chiropractic would be the ones building the billion-dollar hospitals instead of, you know, more and more drugs and pharmaceutical companies, right? So cancer rates are falling to single digits. Like CVS and pharmaceutical companies are filing for bankruptcy, right? The U.S. leads into the top 5 in total health index. And the senior Olympics raises the minimum age to 80. Right? We just built our health. Okay? So if you want that, if you want to be in the senior Olympics after you're 80, right? We have an amazing new patient special for those who are guests here. So the way it works is 3 days in the office. Normally it's about $210, okay? We do the consult, we do a history, we have this really cool posture analysis that shows you how much your head weighs and where your shoulders off and your hips. We do a computer nerve scan, we do the x-rays if we need to. Even a second day we get into an adjustment, see how you respond to everything. Third visit's where we sit down with you and say, look, here's your x-rays, this is what we got to correct, and this is how we put a plan together for you, how we made it affordable, everything all up front. So it's only $127 instead of that $210. So for any guests here, you can definitely sign up or talk to Jen or any of the girls around here. It's time to get checked. If you know someone who needs to get checked, sign them up, right? Just drag them in, they'll be happy, they'll be thankful for it. If you have any family or friends that you want to bring to something like this, we have dinners, we have more workshops, so keep those in mind as well. So we need to save lives, right? And we need your help. Unfortunately, I think there's 800,000 people in Milwaukee, so we need to sell out Miller Stadium, right? We need to do this at Miller Park. We need to have the whole place filled up, learning all this information. So keep promoting it, be part of our mission, and we can keep saving lives as much as possible. So thanks everybody. We'll stick around for any questions. Besides that, see you next time.